a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show here on Om Times, where we're changing the world, wait for it, one Om at a time. Now, this is our first Thursday of the month, and I know that there are many listeners who have tuned in because the first Thursday of the month is Matt Connerton. Matt is unable to join us this week. He has some previous commitments, and we'll be cycling back in with Matt at the beginning of January, where I'm sure we'll still find one or two hot topics to talk about politically. But tonight, we have the Matt replacement, who we'll introduce you to in just a minute. And I say we, because again, this week, I am welcoming as my co-host, Ashley Olst. Ashley and I actually, right after the first of the year, we'll be introducing a new format, and we'll be doing not every show together, but the majority of them. So I want to bring Ashley to the front first. Ash, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you today, Kevin?
Well, you know, I'm hanging around, fabulous, fantastic. It kind of depends on the moment you ask me. You know, it's been, I started in 17-degree weather this morning and have put on 10 miles walking in that cold talking to clients today. So let's say I'm a little chilly. But, that's good old hardy New England, rough and stuff. So before we introduce tonight's guest, can you tell me what, if anything, do you have coming up that our listeners might be interested in?
Oh, gosh. Let's see. We have a psychic message circle that is an online message circle for that next Friday night, the 15th, from 6:30 to 8:30. And you can find the link for that at nhmetaphysical.com. That's New Hampshire Metaphysical, but it's nhmetaphysical.com. Let's see what else. I think our next in-person psychic fair isn't for a little bit either, and that's for people who are in the Nashua area. So that's July 20th. January 20th on a Saturday. And that is in Nashua, New Hampshire. Again, you can find the information at nhmetaphysical.com.
Yep, and I'm just going to put out there that January 20th date has changed, but we're going to give you more information on that.
Good to know.
We do have a SIP. We have a spiritual interactive panel this weekend on Sunday, and again, you can find out more about it at newhampshiremetaphysical.com. SIP is Spiritual Interactive Panel, where we bring together a group of people who have expertise in a subject, spiritual teachers, healers, authors, you name it, to discuss it. This Sunday is the Truth About Angels. And so it's myself, Nancy Smith, and Marie Cartagenova. I am hoping I pronounced it right. And Marie, if I didn't, you can slap me on Sunday. But that's a free event. It's a Zoom event. You can come in from anywhere in the world, because I know I have listeners from all over the world. You can go to New Hampshire Metaphysical, nhmetaphysical.com. You can sign up. If for some reason you sign up and you can't make it, they will still forward you the link of the show or the panel afterwards, so you can still see it even if you couldn't participate in it. So again, we do that as a service. There's no price or no cost to it. So come join us and hear three different experts talk about angels, and then open it up for questions So if you are there, you get to ask your most, I don't know, have to have answered questions about angels. Like, do they really have wings? Or what's under those white gowns? I don't know. Kind of depends. So now, if we haven't scared tonight's guest away, which I always have to be wary that we could do, I didn't hear a click, but it's been known to happen. Not really. Is tonight's guest. And Ashley, I'm going to pass it over to you to introduce tonight's guest. So go for it.
Wonderful. Thank you. So tonight we have the lovely Mindy Getz. Mindy is a Midwestern girl with a heart for the ocean and decaf coffee, along with her journal. She's the mama to a rainbow baby. She marries quantum physics with sourdough in her practice of bringing both the earthly and the etheric to clients who seek better health, relationships, and business. She's excited to share one amazing tool with us tonight. It's called the AO Scan by Solex. And Mindy could be found at mindygetz.com, and Mindy is spelled with an I, and Getz is Getz. So, hi, Mindy.
Hello there.
How are you?
How are you guys? I'm good. I'm in the toasty Phoenix area today, so jumped out of the Midwest, and I'm enjoying the sun. So I'll send a little your way.
We'd appreciate it. I'm representing New England with Kevin. I'm in Vermont right now, and it's pretty brisk.
Yeah. We'll trade you. We'll cool it down for you. You heat it up for us. We'll send it over sound waves. How's that sound?
Scalar waves. They travel with more information over longer distances without the loss of energy.
So, what I want to do, where I'd like to start, and I'm going to kick it off with the first question, is before you actually get into like the technology, which I want to do, and I do want the listeners to know that you have done a sound wave for both an AO scan for both Ash and myself, and we're going to be asking you questions about it. You sent it to us. I'm spoilers. We listened to the assigned music that was attached to it. So there's assigned music when you go through this process. But we're going to have you kind of like review it as if you had, you'd done one of these and we were sitting across, and we're going to be kind of referencing our charts and to our scan, so our listeners can kind of go, ooh, oh, like it's the 4th of July fireworks.
That's awesome.
But
color and sound and light, you got it.
Can you start by telling us what drew you to this technology, and what can you tell us about it in of itself before we kind of dive into the process?
Of course. So I first had an experience with bioresonance, biofeedback scanning several years ago when my daughter was smaller. She was born preterm at 30 weeks and was in the NICU for 40 days, and we went through some stuff. And I live in the Midwest in a tiny town, and it was a flight on an airplane to the NICU. It was not a drivable distance, so we got to take that special medical flight several times, one pregnant, two later. And so to say that alternative therapies were readily available would be a total fib. However, there was one person about 30 miles away who did bioresonance, and through friends, we were introduced, and I decided to try bioresonance with Eden to help her with some of the trauma from being born early and being intubated and all of the things. And I was amazed at how quickly it worked and how, even if I didn't understand it, I could see it. So, you think of the wind, you can't necessarily see it, but you can see the effects. And the woman would begin broadcasting a specific frequency for my daughter to help with digestion, let's say. And she was like 2 at the time. She wouldn't normally want to be like hooked up to a band or anything, and this can work through the quantum field. The practitioner I worked with had like a blanket that she could sit on, but my daughter, when she'd had enough of the frequency, would literally get off the blanket and go to the other side of the building that we were in, trying to like get away from the frequency. Same thing that would happen in ultrasound. She would do everything that she could do to get away from that very loud, very penetrating sound. She didn't like it. And so I knew that her body was feeling and sensing this. And so I knew it was something I was interested in, but most large system scanners are $30,000 to $40,000. And as a single mama, that wasn't an investment I thought I could make. Not for just to do what I could, for me and my family. But a few years ago, I was introduced to the mobile option through AOScan by Solex. And it's literally an app that you can use on your phone, you can use on your laptop, your tablet, whatever. You can connect to Wi-Fi. And I was like, holy cow, that's really awesome. How much is it? Bracing myself. And the woman told me it's $149 a month subscription. And that's it. And I went, oh, I need to make this happen. And a few months later I did. And ever since then, I have been scanning or zapping, as some people say, my little heart out for clients, myself, and my family. My daughter and I use it every day in a number of different ways. And the way you were talking about was the inner voice scan that you both have experienced, and it creates music. So how is that for how I got here?
Very interesting. So is the inner voice scan that both Kevin and I experienced, is that there's more to it? That's just one part of what this AO scan does?
Yes, that is one out of 11 different programs and thousands upon thousands of frequencies. There's a homeopathic library of 300 plus frequencies that can be imprinted into sugar pellets, bracelets, water, or broadcast. A frequency broadcast is a healing broadcast. Kind of think of it as like an invisible radio station that your body listens to and can support your body in a number of different ways. There are frequencies for neck pain, indigestion, sinus problems, tendinitis, you name it. And those can be imprinted on, again, even Cepheid dots, subtle energy frequency imprinted dot. It's a silicone bubble on a foil back with a hologram in it. It's like a wearable patch that you can wear for 3 days and carry around these frequencies so that your body is in the field of that frequency for 3 days. But there's, like I said, 11 programs. Inner Voice is one of them, and one of the most powerful, in my opinion, because it targets the emotions behind the imbalances. Takes a 10-second recording of your voice, and it generates 4 individual music files that are emailed to you as MP3s that you can download, keep, play wherever, whenever you want. But it also has what's called a pulse file, which is a more customizable file that allows you to change the levels of the music versus the frequency, the rhythm of that frequency, etc., and listen to it on like a continuous loop if you want. which people are really loving. And it gives you a report that tells you about the notes that it found in your voice, colors that correspond to supporting that note, as well as the emotions behind that, even as deep as what are some of the nutritional imbalances that could be caused by what was found in your voice, and practical suggestions like chiropractic care, increased hydration, etc. So very useful, very in-depth.
So for our heady listeners, can you talk a little bit more before we dive into like kind of what our report said and what it means and stuff like that? Can you talk a little bit more about how it works? I mean,
so so the scanner in itself sends out scalar waves of information that interact with your bioelectric field. How does it interact with you? I put in what's called a quantum identifier, which is just a series of information: your name, your birth date, height and weight, email address so I can send you reports, and then a photograph is also useful. And then you are a point A in the quantum field, or a point B, whichever you are, and the scanner is the other, and it sends out those waves to you, to the quantum identified field or point, and information comes back to the scanner. And that information is analyzed. Frequencies are matched, so every organ in your body has a specific frequency that it's emitting, and the system knows the frequency of like a healthy liver, the frequency of healthy lungs, etc., and finds where there are mismatches. The fabulous thing about the scanner, beyond the inner voice, the other programs that also scan and identify imbalances in frequency, it sends an optimizing, balancing frequency to every imbalance that it finds. So I'm not a medical doctor. The device is not a medical device. I'm not giving any advice. Medical advice, I don't treat, diagnose, prescribe, or heal. I thoroughly believe that the body is the healer. But this is an educational tool, and it's reading frequencies, not matter.
So, for example, on one of mine, I'm looking at my report right now that Mindy sent to me after I did my 10-second, I sent in my information and then the 10-second voice recording. And so for one of these, it says that, for example, for my brain, I need to get plenty of sleep, consider a Mediterranean diet, and chiropractic adjustments. And it feels that from the frequency from the voice message that I sent?
Yes. Yes. So it analyzes over 10,000 frequencies in the recording, of which about 2,000 are the human voice. The music files that it sends actually have tones from your voice in them, and binaural audio to help balance. But of those 2,000 frequencies that it's reading, your voice literally says, my liver is inflamed. We don't hear it, but the scanner, because of the ability to read frequencies and match them to this massive database of information, can find those imbalances and report them to you. It is, kind of mind-blowing.
See, my liver didn't say I was inflamed. It said, you are a flame. And I went, fabulous.
Yes, I am absolutely sure it did.
Well, you did the report. You should know. You've peeked into my frequencies. So I'm assuming, I assume, because you talked about organs having certain frequencies, that the next place I'm going to jump is I'm assuming that all emotions have frequencies, and that's how you get the emotional feedback.
Yes.
Is that correct?
So if you've seen the emotional scales before where, like, love is a higher vibration than fear, right? And that indifference is lower than anger. So anger is even a moving emotion and actually inspires action, whereas indifference is lower on the frequency scale than anger. And so, yes, that it's matching that frequency in your voice to that scale, and creating these reports that show you the emotional imbalance and how that emotional frequency range is affecting the frequency of the organ, right? So in traditional Chinese medicine, the 5-element theory, different organs in pairs match with different emotions. Like your liver and gallbladder are a pair in the metal element. No, yes. And the liver deals with anger, right? And one is hot anger and one is cold anger. The stomach and spleen are a pair, and they deal with worry. The lungs and large intestine deal with sadness, et cetera, et cetera. And you can see that also in your report. Radio listeners, unfortunately, can't see that. But the report actually has a human body, and it has highlighted the physical areas of the body that are affected by that emotion. So like this being suppressed emotionally or having good self-expression will affect the large intestine, the liver, and that area. And it's supported by the color orange. And the supportive note is the note D.
Now, what emotion would I have if someone's loving me and it's scary? If it's love and fear, I'm just curious.
Love and fear.
I've had some people love me in a pretty fearful way. That's all I can say. Okay.
Yeah. You get more than one emotion. So you can't. So we're not narrowing you down to just one, and it's an emotional range. So, not necessarily good, bad, positive, negative, but the range, the pendulum swing of being like fully suppressed emotionally or fully self-expressed, or being fully self-critical or fully self-accepting.
So, one of the things here, because, and it could be that I can have a blind spot when it comes to technology. Is I wanted to print mine out and go like take it on my sun porch and read it, and I couldn't get it to print. Is it just I'm stupid, or do you get this report but you can't print it?
You should be able to print it. I've printed it.
Okay. So it's just me having a blind spot. Okay.
Well, there's a couple of things. There's, you should get, it's a downloadable PDF in one of the emails. So you'll get multiple emails, one that has your MP3 files, one that has a hot link that goes to like a web page that has your reports and the pulse file. And then you'll have a reports email, and you should be able to download those. They're PDFs, and you should be able to pull up the PDF and print, or just hit print on the live web page. So. Oh
yeah, I don't find print on their live web page. That's what I was looking for because I'm on their live web page. But I'll have to figure it out, or I'll ask some of my more some of my more technically geared staff members can help me with it.
Later.
I think it's possible. I didn't print mine, but it is possible.
Yes.
Okay. So now, I know that break is going to start like in the next 120 to 150 seconds. And when we get back, I actually want to dive into the chart because I had some questions, and I know that Ash did as well. But there's also recommend these Lightwave optical glasses. So can you talk a little bit? Because when I looked at it, it was like, okay, listen to the sound. And then, if you want to kind of look cool, like Mikey looks cool, you can get these cool shaded glasses. Can you talk to me a little about those?
Yes. So Select does sell Pantone color matched glasses for the 12 different notes that they are included in the report. And it is based on color theory that those colored glasses do support the balancing of the emotions that are coming up. I have a girlfriend who is not necessarily into this whole woo-woo world of zap it, and she uses a system, and she got the color therapy glasses. She's like, can you tell me why I put the purple glasses on and everything looks purple for a minute and then it doesn't, and I notice my shoulders are relaxed. They're not up at my ears. I just wear them for a few minutes and I'm relaxed. That's really weird. And I said, well, do you really need to know the exact things that are like happening in your brain? She's like, no, not really, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't crazy. But we're photomodulated, so the color of light that enters our eyes causes a cascade of chemical changes in our body, one of which is the production of hormones. And so by limiting the color that you are seeing, you are affecting the cascade of chemistry in your body.
And I thought you were going to say that the purple jumped off the glasses and was rubbing her shoulders.
Yes, those are special. They're a little bit more expensive.
We'll be right back with my co-host Ash and today's guest, Mindy Getz.
Conscious media for conscious minds. Om Times. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of Om Times Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of Om Times. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Vox Novus, the new voice. Vox Novus, the new dimension. Vox Novus, thought and movement leaders who will share from their experience and offer tools to help us navigate our rapidly changing world. My name is Victor Furman. Join me every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern on Om Times Radio for Vox Novus, the new voice.
Ascending Hearts is no ordinary dating site, but a spiritual dating site with a purpose, to link you with your soulmate. We engineer the serendipity so you can trust that you will attune with someone that has the same matching vibration as you. Ascending Hearts, the conscious dating site for the spiritually aware. Try Ascending Hearts for free. AscendingHearts.com.
If I could be you,
and you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show here on Om Times. I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Ashley Olstein, or we hope it's the one and only Ashley Olstein. There's another one out there. We don't want to hear about it. And tonight's guest, who is Mindy Getz of Life Gets Better. And both Getz are spelled G-E-T-Z. So Mindy has been practicing alternative healing therapies for nearly 2 decades, and she is a quantum living advocate. You can find out more about her. I'm reading the bio. You can learn more about her at Mindy with an I, MindyGets.com. So We're talking today about the AO, which is, now you have multiple different tools you use. I know this is one and this is the one we're talking about, but this is not the only tool in your tool belt, is it?
No, it's not. And I can do some of what the tool does, but I'm not as fast. Let's put it that way. So I can muscle test and find out some of the things that the scanner does, which it does have a supplement library, we said, that can imprint like homeopathic frequencies, but you can also put supplements in and have it scan and tell you which ones are best for your body that day. I can do that with muscle testing, but it's faster.
Okay. So, Miss Ashley, would you like to start with questions about your report, or do you want me to start the interrogation? I mean, the questioning.
The questioning. So, I was going to ask Mindy to walk through, like, how, so if a client called her or emailed and said, hey, I want to have an AO scan done, what does that look like? So I know what I did from my end, but then I'm wondering what happened. So I got this report, and do you meet with them again to go over the report?
So it depends on what exactly the client is looking for. Some people just come in just for a scan. They come in to get scanned for food sensitivities or to see what's going on with their left knee. My mother had something going on with her elbow, so I scanned all the veins, arteries, nerves, muscles, connective tissue, and bone in her elbow and sent her the report. She can print it out. She can take it to the physical therapist, what have you. Others get scans as part of a coaching session. And so we can go over the scan at the time of the session. Some people sign up for frequency broadcasts or frequency broadcast groups. So they provide the same information that you did, your name, date of birth, etc. And they choose that they want to be in the Digest Well Abundant or a Digest Well frequency group, and they don't have to do anything else. They just get 20 days out of the month. They get an hour's worth of frequencies to support that specific symptom or idea. So there's a lot of different ways that someone can interact with the scanner. You can go to my website and there's a booking link there. You can pick and choose what is right for you, and I'll collect your information, invoice you, send you reports, etc. I can meet with a client by phone, by Zoom, or we can text and email if that's their way. Usually, somebody who's just getting a scan, like an inner voice scan, I will send a follow-up email with some information on like how to use the scan, etc., or how to use the music files from the scan.
Very, very interesting. And there's interesting information in here for sure.
So if I don't care, and I have to ask this question because I know that you're traveling, so you're not at your home location. I don't know if you actually have access to the two reports that you did for Ashley and I. Do you have access to those?
So the scanner, for the most part, does not save scans. So your personal information is your personal information, and I don't keep it, and I don't have access to it for the most part. Inner Voice is the only one that stays in the scanner until you create a new Inner Voice. And so I can see if I can pull yours up, Kevin, and then open the report. Let's see.
I think you did Ashley after me, so you might have hers. I mean, I'd love to have my listeners, our listeners, have the experience of, you're looking at that report, what would you say to me? Like, if I were one of my clients and I got an AO scan, and I'm looking at the report, and there's a lot of information there, and I still have some questions about some of it, but I'd like to know if I said, hey, I'd like to do a phone appointment for you to go over my report, what would be my experience, or Ashley's experience? If you find hers instead of mine, you can do her.
I've got yours here. Okay. I've got yours here from, who was, yeah. So I would look over the vitals, which are telling you kind of nutrition, minerals, things that may be lacking. And so I'm going to look through there and I'm going to see if there's something, especially if it comes up in each one of the notes. So you're going to get 4 different colors, 4 different notes, 4 different emotional ranges. And so for the supportive note A, which is purple for you, it's suggesting iodine, fluorine, and manganese. But I don't see those specific ones on the other notes. But I am seeing several B vitamins. And so I would ask probably if you have or do regularly take supplements, do you take vitamins? Do you believe that you digest those well? Have you ever been told that you have the MTHFR or one of the MTHFR gene variants? Are you experiencing a lot of stress right now? And are you looking for like a methylated B vitamin? Have you ever heard of that? So those would be some questions that I will be asking somebody when I see patterns in their reports. And for most of the other, like the vitals report, which is kind of like a CBC on the frequency level, so it's blood vitals like cholesterol, those sorts of things, or if I was looking at a hormone panel, I would take in that information, but just like every blood test is a moment in time, right? At 8:52 on Tuesday morning, that's what your blood was. At 8:53, that's not what your blood was. It may not be wildly different, but at 2 o'clock that day, it's going to be different because you're digesting differently, you've got different stress going on, et cetera. And so I would just be collecting this information to kind of see what shows up. And then if we were working together through coaching, I would be seeing, like, is this a repetitive pattern that we need to address? Or is this something that was kind of in the moment, especially because it's frequency. Frequency is what happens first. We're frequency before we were matter, in my opinion.
So, not
that we get to be without our frequency.
So if, so now I've got 5 questions in my head, and they just had a collision on the LA freeway. So let's start with, so I want to get back to like your analogy for blood and frequencies and stuff like that. But I want to start with, when I look and pull up my test, you listed and said purple, iodine, fluorine, manganese. But I was trying to interpret how I cross-indexed the information. And I would have assumed, or I did assume, that if I had high frequencies on something, that would be something I did need to address versus low frequencies. I'm assuming by the fact that you started with something that fell under a high frequency category that I made an incorrect assumption, or...
So the 2,000 frequencies that are scanned in your voice, the system makes a selection of the 3 highest and the 1 lowest frequency, and then gives you the balancing harmonics, the MP3 files, the colors that support those 4 notes. Like I said, the 3 are high and the 1 is low. However, in some of the other reports, a high or red or a 9 is more inflammatory, whereas a 1 is a diminished
I'm not
frequency.
Is that?
Oh, so you haven't had a comprehensive scan. So if I wanted to scan your ankle, and I could scan the muscles, the tendons, the bones, the nerves, the arteries, everything, then it would tell you each one of those things, each tendon in your ankle, it would give a reading. And it would say it's at a 5, it's balanced, or it's at any number between 1 and 5 is diminished function, and over 5 is an overactive function. So usually an inflammatory marker. So if it's in the inner voice, it's an overexpressed or an underexpressed. So the vitals behind it don't mean that the iodine is causing a high, the overexpression of that. These suggestions are what is going to be bringing balance to the expression, whether it's high or low. So under potential causes, if under potential causes you saw something like lead or something like that, then that would be an exposure that was causing the symptom. But under the, y'all can't see it. I wish we could beam it out over the ether so you can see these things. But there is the colors, the picture of the human body with the organs and systems that are affected. And then there are 4 sections at the bottom, the emotions that are being expressed in that frequency, the vital minerals, nutrients, and whatever that are playing a part in that frequency, the potential causes of those frequencies, and the imbalance it is causing with suggestions for that. Like if it's affecting the stomach, it might say, consider taking hydrochloric acid, digestive enzymes, et cetera, et cetera. Does that make a little bit more sense?
A little bit. I would love you to say just a little bit more about it. So, for example, there's the human body, and then there's graphics that show which of the organs and blood vessels or whatever are affected. So,
right.
And then there's a corresponding note that goes with the voice frequency that we submit. And then it gives positive emotions with a list and negative emotions that go with it. And then it says the emotions, but just if you could say just a little more about, you said that are expressed in those organs. You worded it a little bit differently, but could you just explain that a little deeper?
Yeah. So going back to the traditional Chinese medicine system, the different organs are affected by different emotions. And if you think about the things that we say, you'll get clues to that sort of thing, or what you physically feel. When you're really sad and you're crying, do you often, you're gasping? Or if something is so sad or so shocking, it takes your breath away, right? And that's the lungs. If you're constantly worried, do you get a knot in your stomach? Right?
Yeah.
you're afraid. I was so scared I peed my pants. Bladder and kidney, right? So those emotions are affecting those organs. The energy flows through those meridians. And so if you have a problem with fear, you may have sciatica, or pain in nerves running along the bladder and kidney meridians, which run down the backs of your legs, right? That energy pathway. And so we can look at the effects and causes in our body when we go back to the emotion behind it. Right? So
Gotcha.
My personal opinion, things like breast cancer are caused from a conflict, a sadness conflict that is unresolved for an extended period of time. Breasts are about nurturing and loved ones. And so that's why those things are there, why those symptoms and illnesses, disease happen in those different areas of the body. Yeah. Any of that making sense? Any of that landing, or did I just take you for a left turn?
No. I think it's making a little bit more sense. I think there's a lot more than appears at first blush when you look at the report. It's very there's a lot of information there. So it's just I was having a hard time unbraiding it and understanding it and how to use it.
Right. So part of what I love about this system, the man who brought this system to the United States and made it into what it is today and actually developed Inner Voice, his name is Lawrence Flinson of Solex. The man has the biggest heart. And he is such a giver. And he, of course, loves this project and this baby, but it is full of information. But the program creates the music, and the music creates the magic. You don't have to ever read a report. You can download the music, and the music is going to do what the music needs to do. Whether you comprehend quantum entanglement, color theory, photomodulation, any of it. You put your headphones in, you sit down, you go for a walk, you listen. The changes happen.
All right. Well, so that I totally passed right by. I was caught up with the colors and the charts and all that stuff. So,
yes, it's not a matter of... Yes, listen to the music.
And I enjoyed my music very much. I was listening to it today. And your recommendation is to listen to it frequently. So how does that work?
Yes. So the absolute best, in my opinion, is to have the subscription so that you can do this every day. You don't have the same emotions when you wake up in the morning, when you go to bed, when you just finished a very stressful meeting, when you just got a horrible phone call, whatever. You have this at the touch of a button. You can record your voice in 10 seconds, and it's done. You can keep it in the scanner itself or the app itself. You can download it. You can take it with you. Otherwise, you can reach out to somebody like me and pay to have the scan done and the music sent to you. I do have a 21-day Inner Voice challenge so that Monday through Friday, during those 3 weeks, you get new music. Fridays, you get that recording and you listen to it Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We start again on Monday. And that's when you start to see the biggest shifts because you're getting something matched to you daily. The one thing that I would say, none of these music files is bad. It's not like you're taking morphine instead of vitamin C, right?
Yep.
They are all, it is balancing. It literally does have the tone of your voice in there. So it is kind of that I am connection to yourself. And so it is very powerful medicine. The more consistently you take it, the better that you will feel. We have a small study of people who had enrolled like in this 21-day challenge and had, like 50% decrease in pain, similar decreases in depression, anxiety, better sleep, etc. And they didn't have to know. They didn't even have to know that, blue supports G sharp. Nobody had to know that. All they had to do was say, I am Mindy Getz, and I am talking for 10 seconds, and here is my file, and then listen to the music. And your body will respond.
So you answered one of my questions, which is how often should you check the frequency? Because you had made the reference earlier to the blood and that the blood changes. And so you're saying if you really want to embrace this technology and get the maximum potential out of it, doing your frequency every day is and then having the correlating piece of music created from it is the way to go?
Yes, that would be what I would recommend. But I understand there are plenty of people out there that are saying, Mindy, I don't have $149 to listen to music. I get it. I understand. But I also know that people that start and pay for a couple of scans go, oh, yeah, like I slept so much better. I haven't slept like that in months, in years, in whatever. Oh, you can do this for your pet. Oh, I could do this for my kid who's in college and I can't do anything when she's stressed out with finals. Oh, okay. I use it with my daughter. Like I said, she does inner voice at night. That's our bedtime routine. She listens to that music for 10 minutes while mommy's getting ready to read her a story so that she has help processing the emotions of the day and can go to sleep more easily. It's helped with nightmares and more peaceful sleep. I took her on a trip to Maine the year before we got the scanner. We got in really late at night, and we spent 3 hours on the stairs between the garage and my friend's house because she would not go in the house. She was terrified. She was sad. She wanted to go home. We needed to get a plane. Not doing it. Finally fell asleep at 4:30 in the morning. The next year we had the AO scanner. We did get in a little bit earlier, but she had been doing the scans nightly for maybe 6 weeks, maybe just a month. And we had something to eat. She went right upstairs. She got in her jammies. She put on the inner voice, and she was asleep before the first song played, and it was 3 minutes. This was back when we didn't have Pulse file, the continuous loop file, and we just got 4 different files. And so the first song was playing, and she was out, and I had the hardest time getting the headphones off of her because she was like lead. She was gone. She was sleep, sleep, sleep. So can you do it every day? Yes. Do people do it more than once a day? Yes. Will you see a benefit if you do it, once a week? Sure. I have a friend also who is going through cancer treatments, but she doesn't have the wherewithal to send me voice recordings very often, but she'll listen to her voice music in between sending me the voice files, and she still loves it and still feels like she gets benefit from it. So.
Okay, well, I know that we're winding down because within the next 120 seconds or so, the closing music is going to go on, and the audience's ability to hear us drastically drops. So I want to say first of all, I want to say thank you to Mindy Getz, and you can find out more at mindygetz.com, and that's Mindy with an I, M-I-N-D-I, Getz, G-E-T-Z. and you can find out more about this and the other things that she does. Mindy Getz of Life Gets Better. Thank you for joining us here on the Dr. Kevin Show. I'm going to continue looking at this report because I know I don't need to know, but I need to know.
Yes, you can go as deep as you want, but you can also experience a shift in your frequency and therefore your health, happiness, etc. Just by listening.
Okay. Mindy, any last thoughts before we close down the show?
If you want a discounted $22 inner voice scan, look at my website, click on the booking link, and push radio or type in radio in the text field, and I will get you that discount. I would be happy for you to experience this.
There you go. You gave yourself an early Christmas gift with a $22 discount. Yeah. Thank you so much for coming. Ash, you and I are doing this again next week, and I have no idea with who because I forgot to look up, so you just have to tune in and find out.
Find out.
Christopher Hadnaggy.
Yes.
It's what?
Exactly.
Christopher Hadnaggy.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Mindy.
Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Kevin. Bye.
Bye.